We joined Close the Glass Loop because we wanted to play our part in the pushing up the collection threshold for glass bottles to 90% by 2030. We also realized we are just one partner in the chain. This is a collective effort, and the beauty of Close the Glass Loop is to bring all the relevant partners together, work in alignment to make this a collective ambition and deliver this collectively, each in their own areas, but with a common vision in mind and with a lot of exchange going on to make sure all the wheels work, closely with each other to make sure we're advancing at the pace that we set ourselves. The packaging of choice for spirits is the glass bottle for the number of reasons. 92% of spirits in Europe are sold in glass bottles. Glass is the tool of choice because it is inert. I think very important. We're talking about a very high value liquid. The liquid is the real gift, but in order to get it to the consumers, you need to put it into a packaging that conveys the high value and the complexity and the premium nature of the product. And glass clearly here is the tool of choice to convey that to the consumer and match, so to say, the high value of the liquid. And also given you have a very complex and delicate taste profile, particularly in aged spirits, think of 18-year-old whiskey or XO cognacs, and you must make sure that nothing in the packaging interferes in terms of the taste profile with a liquid, so that an inert material as glass is clearly the best way to do this.
This bottle has a century-aged design. For many years, it looks almost the same, but we changed the bottle a little bit, the neck a little bit, the shoulders of the glass, but also the shape of the bottle. But still, it is a very recognizable bottle for our consumers. In fact, it is an iconic bottle. So that's why, from a marketing perspective, it is so relevant for us to keep this as it is, because it is really important for our consumers to recognize a real, authentic Ketel Geneva.
Spirits are as diverse as Europe itself. In every European country, spirits are being distilled. So we have a rich culture and tradition of distilling spirits in this continent. And that's reflected also in the product range and the categories. We have more than 40 categories of spirit drinks. Think of whiskey, think of gin, think of vodka, to name just a few. And we have more than 250 geographical indications saying that certain spirits are only produced in a certain region of Europe, owing to the tradition and the history and the local circumstances and the local terroir, so reflecting very much the local culture and agricultural and natural realities, and reflecting that in the taste of the spirit.
I think it's really important that you don't see sustainability as a problem, but as an opportunity, as a journey, so we can leave the world in a slightly better place. Here at the Nolet Family Distillery, we have a sustainability plan in place, and also we're looking at our materials. The main KPI for that is to reduce our glass weight of our bottles with 10% in 2030. And also our cardboard we want to reduce with 5%. Our labels we want to have in 2030 of biodegradable material. So big challenge, but I think everybody here at the distillery is working hard to achieve it.
Absolut has very high sustainability ambitions, and the importance of reducing the environmental impact of our packaging permeates everything from raw materials, the manufacturing process, and end of life. And when it comes to the manufacturing of glass, the benefits when you use recycled material are many. We reduce the proportion of raw material in our glass, as well as reducing energy consumption in the melting process and thus CO2 emissions.
Some of the action can certainly be help the industry of glass production in supplying glass that has a higher percentage of recycled glass as much as possible. That poses some challenges though, because the glass is of different quality, of a different color, and might have some changes, but I think that is a good way of moving forward and communicating this. On the other side, also working, I think, on having less glass in the bottle for as much as possible. We have to think of also security though, because bottles travel, they touch on the bottling line. So there are some limits to which, some extents to which that we can reach.
That differs in Europe. On average, 3 out of 4 bottles are bought in a retail shop, so in a supermarket, in a corner shop, and then are consumed at home. And about 1/4 is consumed in the so-called on-trade, so in restaurants, bars, hotels. That differs sharply across Europe. There's, of course, owing to cultural traditions and possibly also the weather, people tend to drink more in the European South in on-trade settings and tend to consume more at home in the northern parts. So in a country like Greece, more than 60% of spirits are consumed in an on-trade settings, while in a country like Poland, over 90% are consumed in private settings. And that, of course, determines as well where bottles need to be collected for recycling. First of all, the secondary raw material, to reintegrate that into our bottles in terms of recycled content. And we need the collection driven up, not only at household level, but also at professional and HoReCa level. We need to then work together, ensure that our product designs are, picking up our best link to the increasingly recycled content model. And finally, on the research and development story as well, there's a lot of cooperation that needs to go hand in hand to develop solutions that newer, more sustainable bottle designs travel from the beginning, not only to the end of the chain, but then back again and closing the glass loop.
Since this year has become mandatory to inform your customers on how to recycle packaging of food in the food industry. So the back labels bear a QR code, which provides a number of information to consumers, which are including the list of ingredients, including the calories, but in what we call environmental label. So this information of how to recycle, what to do with the packaging once the consumption is finished, is included in this back label. And I think it's very useful also as a consumer, I think, to know sometimes, you're puzzled, you don't know what to do with packaging. The QR code now for this information is mainly for Italy, but with the QR code, we think we can give this information also in other countries when this will be necessary. Because what's interesting is that these QR codes have been developed in Europe with Comité Vin and Spirits Europe. So they provide a number of information that can be geo-localized. So depending on the country you are in, you can see it in your language and also in what is mandatory for this language. So this is something that in the future we think we can apply all through Europe. So I think this is a very interesting point. Also because recycling is not the same in every country. So like for instance, in Italy, you have a glass with metal, but in other countries, this is not the case. So it can be interesting. It has several flexibilities. So we give this information, and this helps, I think, you to, and this has become mandatory on all our bottles, because our main packaging as a company or in the segment is the glass bottle.
In the past, there was a fear that if the glass was not perceived as crystal clear, the packaging was not premium enough. We still think it's important that the glass is clear, but we are not as strict in our assessment. And as the glass recycling process in Sweden is of very high quality, We have not had any problems with the glass being perceived as colored or greenish, despite 53% recycled glass content, and we actually aim for 60%. I also believe that the knowledge of our consumers has increased, and they appreciate environmental improvement measures, such as reusing materials. We at Absolut have a close collaboration with our glass supplier, that is Arda in Limmared, and we have continuously challenged each other to reduce our environmental impact. Increasing the amount of recycled glass in our bottles is one of these measures. And Arda and Swedish Glass Recycling Company are close partners, and they have helped us on our journey to increase this amount. They have also helped to ensure that our glass packaging, including decor and labels, are recyclable through full-scale tests.
This is our old bottle, and here I have our new bottle. This one is 10% lighter. And a few years ago we made voluntary sectoral agreements to reduce our glass with 4% in 2022. But actually we reduced it with 10%. So I think that is a big step. But of course we have also other brands. So those brands will be the next on which we are working on. So this is really a big step as we are market leader in the Netherlands. We are actually very proud that our product innovation team has achieved to make this bottle lighter. But as you can see, for the consumer, looks quite still the same, but it is more modern and 10% lighter.
Consumers, citizens in general, they do have a strong interest on waste management because they see the benefit, of course, of reusing or recycling more than reusing. For us, has proven very, very effective, has proven to work very well, and that citizens embrace it very clearly, especially when it comes to glass, because glass is easy, it's something people relate to, understand, and it's applied on many food stuff, not just liqueurs, so or spirits and wine and spirits in general.
We at Absolut are dependent that our consumers understand the importance of recycling, and close the glass loop on a European level is a key instrument to help us raise awareness and to help us get the glass back in a circular system.
In the Netherlands we already have 90% of glass recycling. I truly hope that we can achieve that everywhere in Europe.